literally begged my parents to get me a membership at the gym, which I did, they did, and I started working out. And between 10 and 12, I got trim and slim, all as a self-protection from my brother calling me his fat little brother.
My mom told me a story about my grandfather who served in the 6th Armored Division, Patton's Army in World War II. He was a surgeon, and there was another doctor there who, while in Germany, had fallen in love with a girl and decided not to go home to his family. Had that not happened, all the conditions would have been different. The night that she was conceived, my mom being born.
Clothing is self-protection. It's not just the weather. It's self-protection from, I live in a world where people don't really see me and don't know how truly to honor me in my humanity as it is. What's the worst punishment in prison? Solitary confinement.
There's some other ones there.
There's some other, yes.
But we don't need to go there.
Why is that so brutal to be placed in solitary confinement? Because we are made for communion. We are made not to be alone. But there's also a profound paradox here that in order to discover communion with humanity, you first have to be alone.
Right.
Feel free to skip this ad if you like, but I just wanted to invite you, if you're enjoying what you're hearing here on Word Made Fresh, please subscribe. Please share these episodes with others. Leave some comments. And if you want to continue the journey with us, follow Mike Mangione, Bill Donaghy, and yours truly, Christopher West, on our personal social media. And all of those links are in the description below. You know,
what?
you don't think about Ecuador, where we are right now.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think about the name of this country because of our gringo-ness.
Right. This hit me on the trip where I was like, Ecuador.
Equator. Because we're right near
the
equator.
Yeah.
South of the equator, which means, is this even true? Do the toilet bowls flush the other way, or is that a myth?
I don't flush toilets.
Oh. Well, for those who like to have a sanitary life,
mm-hmm.
if they flush the toilet...
Is that true, though?
I don't know.
I've been in Australia, I've always made a point to look, but the toilets here don't do the swirl. They're more of they jump on, they pounce the hole.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe what we need to do is maybe on a FaceTime call.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in Australia in January.
Can you, FaceTime me.
So
it'll be like 3 a.m.
We'll each do a swirl, like we'll put our head in the toilet and flush it and see if your hair goes this way and my hair goes that way.
Well, I don't have much hair to swirl, but I'm looking forward to seeing your swirl. Yeah. Guayaquil, but there's a G in it. Guayaquil. Is that how you say it, Juan? You're Mexican.
You speak the Spanish language. How do you say the name of the town?
The Guayas and the Quills.
Guayaquil.
Guayaquil. With a G or a U?
I always hear.
We're saying they pronounce it with a W.
Yeah.
Guayaquil?
But it's like it's in the back of the throat, like Guayaquil.
Do you pronounce the L?
Guayaquil.
Guayaquil.
Guayaquil? Not Guayaquil. Not Guayaquil. Guayaquil. Guayaquil.
Guayaquil.
Guayaquil.
That's right.
The people of Guayaquil have been awesome. Open hearts.
Yeah.
It's kind of virgin territory when it comes to spreading theology of the body.
As far as what's been here.
What's been spoken, what's been delivered, they haven't heard this before.
Right.
We're the first kind of TOB team.
Yeah. Maria Andrea's done some work here. So she's another speaker from Colombia.
Yeah.
Who spent some time here. But to your point, it's not that well known. So we'll tell them we wrote it. Just kidding.
No, what has been your... Well, we've done 2 events and we have 1 to go. What's been your impression of...
Yeah, anytime I'm in a new place, I'm always assessing, like, okay, what is unique about this place? Because my kids ask, and when I talk to people, they ask about these different places. And just to be honest, like there's, in the work that we do, it's a lot of airports, a lot of churches, and a lot of hotels. So it all can be the same if you don't have the eyes to see it.
Right.
So for me, it's always a meal. Always got to have a good meal. How's the food? And then the topography, the landscape. And then there's always something that stands out. And so to answer your question, the food's been amazing. I thought the food has been fantastic. The first night we had cow stomach, which
I was not with you.
no, that was just Juan and I.
Quantita.
And
What's it called?
Quantita.
Quantita.
It was bien.
I've eaten crickets, I've eaten alligator, I've eaten some very strange things around the world.
Yeah.
I have not eaten cow stomach.
It's got the consistency
Of cow stomach,
of cow stomach, which also tastes like calamari. So it's a little more rubbery.
right?
There wasn't a quality to it that I needed in my
So
culinary.
that's a once done enough.
Did it, check it off the list. I'll move on to other body parts.
Yeah.
But the other thing, so the landscape has been beautiful, just very lush. One of the major exports here are coffee, bananas, and flowers. They export a lot of roses. One of the major exporters of roses, and then orchids. So
Had
that
no idea.
can give you an
Who'da thunk?
idea. Yeah, that can give you an idea. But the main thing is the people. The people have been so warm and just comfortable to be with.
The temperatures have been quite warm too.
Quite warm. Ask my armpits. They know all about that. Sorry. And I asked one of the hosts that we're with is the father, Ranier.
Father Raniero.
Raniero. And I asked him what's one of the qualities of this country. If somebody was going to come, what would be one of the qualities that they would experience? And he said the kindness and warmth of the people.
Yeah, I feel that.
And I feel like, I always say that about where I live in Wisconsin. I feel like Wisconsin is a very warm, despite the cold temperatures, a very warm, welcoming. People are very happy that you're there, and they're very kind. And there's no, like a lot of times when you encounter people, there's a barrier that you're trying to learn how to penetrate. And sometimes you get there and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you meet somebody that's just like you, and sometimes the wall just stays forever. But in Wisconsin, there's no barrier. It's just people are listening and welcoming, trying to understand so they can help. I felt the same thing here.
Yeah, I did too.
Totally, despite the language barrier.
I was sharing with you last night just the sense when you're close to the equator, you realize, wow, we live really far north.
Yeah,
Like if you experience snow, you are close to one of the poles.
yeah,
And the majority of humanity lives near the equator.
yeah.
So
With good reason.
with good reason, right? That makes sense.
Yeah, it
like
does.
why do we put up with the snow? I mean, I do like the change of season, I have to say. But
foliage.
But humanity has drifted towards the equator. And another little geographic nugget that I found fascinating is we are very close to the Pacific Ocean.
Mm-hmm.
However,
Yeah,
we're in the same time zone as where I live in Pennsylvania.
it's crazy.
So my brain does a weird thing, placing myself at this spot on the planet, that I'm right near the Pacific Ocean, but I'm in the eastern time zone of the United States. I don't quite know how to...
It's because the U.S. is so fat.
Right.
We're just a fat country.
Yeah, and the Pacific Ocean in my brain has always been 3 time zones, or 3 hours away.
Yeah.
I mean, 3, in terms of time zones, 3 time zones away, or 2 time zones, 3 time zones away.
I don't know what you're
I
saying.
don't-
But
What I'm saying is when it's noon
Yeah.
in Pennsylvania, it's 9 a.m. in California. That's
right,
what I'm trying
but
to
it's
say.
not. It's the same here. And
But how many time zones? We go Eastern, it's 4 time zones. Eastern,
Can we
Central,
edit this
Mountain,
already? Just press.
whatever. I'm trying to be
No, I know what
precise.
you're saying. You made the point. No, absolutely. That is strange. And they say crocodiles for crocodiles.
I
which
have not
think
heard
is
that one.
Adorable.
And there are crocodiles right in the river, right down
Yeah.
the street.
The Guayo River.
And you guys saw
Oh, iguanas.
iguanas.
Yeah, they're like squirrels.
There was a guy who was standing, and all of a sudden
Oh.
a rain of poop and pee.
Oh dear.
Next to him.
Yeah, one of the guys we were with, he said there's like a little pond. He's like, Mike, come here. And I was like still looking at something. And then all of a sudden it sounded like somebody turned a hose on. Like, when if you ever been near horses, all of a sudden you're like, what is that? And you're like, the horse is taking a leak.
Right.
Same density
Oh, from above.
from the tree.
So this must be a common experience.
Well, so another thing too is that
It's a bad surprise.
no, he was just like, oh, no. But the populated areas, the iguanas don't hang, they're more in like this less populated areas, so parks, stuff like that. So you're not gonna like be on a playground and all of a sudden get, you know, it's gotta be a little more remote. Anyway, what about you? The little things that have stuck out.
Yeah, there was, yesterday I gave a talk for the very first time, as you know, you were there, to some business leaders, and this theme was applying principles from theology of the body to business. I had never done that before. And I like a new challenge, and we were at a nice restaurant. There were, maybe 40 or 50 business people there, also some people from Catholic education. And there's always that initial, I'm getting to know you, you're getting to know me when I start a talk. And it took maybe 10, 12 minutes to realize, we can speak a language where we can connect here. And it's fascinating when you read a room and the body language shifts and you realize, okay, now I've broken through. I've broken through that initial barrier. There's a language barrier. There was a translator. Thank you, Maria, Andrea. Thank you for doing the translation. So you overcome that language barrier, you make the connection eye to eye and heart to heart, and then you can go places. And where I took it, again, I've never done this specifically for business leaders, but you know well, Mike, you've heard me do it hundreds of times, where I talk about the difference between looking at someone and seeing someone. Mm-hmm. And everybody can recognize the distinction when it's pointed out. What's the difference between being looked at and being seen? St. Augustine says the deepest desire of the human heart is to see another and to be seen by that other's loving gaze. And there's something, such a deep, deep need of the human heart to know I'm not alone. Mm-hmm. That I'm known by another. I'm seen by another. And we broke open this basic principle of theology of the body, that the body reveals the person. Well, when you're just looking, you don't see the mystery of the person revealed. You don't see the inner reality. You stop at the body. And you evaluate that other person's body based on whether or not it pleases you. Mm-hmm. And if it pleases you, you'll take some utilitarian delight in it. If it doesn't please you, I'll just swipe you away as if I'm looking at some app and I'm like, nah, I don't like your nose. Swipe you away.
To elaborate a little bit on that, for me, it's also, and this is kind of what you're saying, but I find I'm influenced in how I engage the person based on those surface, if I'm not seeing them, I'll just not totally be open to I'm being completely vulnerable. This is not good.
Yes, you're right.
This is a weakness that I've been working on for years, but if I'm not, it's not even like attraction, it's just like an attraction to the person, not like physically, but just they're funny or there's something I'm jiving with.
Yep.
I find that I'm more myself with them. I give them more of myself in my personality than if I'm not, and it's not right because it's a judgment, and I put up a barrier which I'm not called to do, and I've even found that I struggle with names. A lot of people do, but I can't remember names. And once
I'm Christopher.
Christopher?
Yeah.
I've been saying Jeff
oh crap!
Eons, but no. I realized years ago that if I don't learn the person's name, I don't like to be with them. Like subconsciously, if there's a room of people and I know somebody's name, I'm more likely to go be with them because I don't have to. I can speak to them.
Sure. I mean, even at a more, I understand that what you're saying is also something that needs to be corrected because there could be a utilitarian thing going on there.
Totally.
But here's even a more base example of that kind of utilitarianism. You know, you walk into a room and you're like, oh, that person's attractive, let me sit there.
Yeah. That's why you're always sitting next to me. I get it now.
You get it? Exactly, Mike. That's why I've always
honored.
wanted to be with you.
However, I'm not attracted to you.
Dang it!
Therefore, it's
So you've been really struggling all these years, and I've been considering it like a boost in my social status that I get to sit next to you. You've been considering it a lowering of your I'm sorry. Mike.
No, it's not a lowering, it's my cross. And I take it as God gives it to me. But no, yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, she's the attractive one, let me go sit there, or he's the cool one in the room, let me go sit there.
Music too, I've experienced that because, like, you know, when you're with somebody who's of a certain status in like your industry, for example, there's this tendency to want to just extract from them as if that relationship's going to turn into some kind of advancement in your career. But whether it does or not, just the concept of I don't really give a crap who you are on the inside. I don't care about your stories or your family or your life.
What can I get out of this? What are you giving me?
Yeah.
That utilitarian approach to the person creates a false dichotomy between who's considered valuable in society and who's considered rubbish or just gets dismissed. Mm-hmm. You know, think of the person who is not as, put this in quotes, attractive or doesn't meet the standards of society's standards of attractiveness. That person over the course of a lifetime in that worldview is continually getting rejected. Yeah. Nobody's sitting next to that person. Nobody's inviting that person into the conversation. That person feels less human. Conversely, the people who meet those standards, always invited to the party, always welcomed into conversation, always has somebody want to sit next to them, they can get an inflated sense of themselves. What was I watching? I was watching this documentary on Eddie Murphy.
Oh,
Did I tell you about this?
Well, the new documentary that just came out, I saw it myself.
Yeah. Do you remember Seinfeld was interviewed? Mm-hmm. And it was after, it was the mid-90s, Seinfeld's commenting on this thing from the mid-90s, when Eddie Murphy, he had done some stupid movies that didn't create the buzz.
Dr. Dolittle and Flubber.
And a few just bad movies. And
he admits to it.
And he admits they were bad movies. And you know, you look at any actor or comedian's career, and there's going to be, you know, oscillations.
And that David Spade comment. Really
exactly. From Saturday Night Live, David Spade says something like,
"Oh look, a falling star.
Look, a falling star. Everybody make a wish," and shows a picture of Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
This really wounded Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
And the place where he got his start, Saturday Night Live,
and had a big impact on helping it maintain that early 80s.
Yes. Well, Eddie Murphy, wasn't he part of the initial team that replaced the original team?
Right.
And everybody was like, how can Saturday Night Live be Saturday Night Live without the original cast?
Yeah.
But Eddie Murphy was the one who took it.
Yeah, they had Joe Piscopo and Louise Dreyfus.
Yeah.
And it was fine, but they didn't have, when Eddie Murphy came in at like 19.
Yeah, he's 19 years old.
Already had this, like, the characters and just the confidence and the walk.
So this was his tribe.
Yeah,
Saturday Night Live was his tribe.
And his point that he said is, with even the writers, you never tore each other down.
Right.
And so
that comment from David Spade really wounded Eddie Murphy and caused him to stay away from the whole scene for a decade and a half. But my point is, Seinfeld was being interviewed commenting on this falling star reality of Eddie Murphy in the 90s, and Seinfeld said, everybody in the public eye is going to be unworthily praised and then unworthily deal with everybody's venom. Mm-hmm. Praise and venom. He says, and both are lies.
Both are lies.
Both are lies. And the way he summed that up And we can, knowing just what we experience in the public eye, in our own way, not at the size or stage that somebody like Eddie Murphy or Seinfeld has, but in our own little Catholic circle, we have to deal with that same high praise and venom from the public that takes some interest in what we're doing. And it was a moment for me in which I realized, both are lies. And if I'm feeding off that praise in an unhealthy way, the venom is going to really, really hurt.
Well, what's strange, I had a similar moment. There's this artist that I was like 10 years older, growing up in Chicago, named Michael McDermott. And he was a great artist, great songwriter. We did some touring together. And you know, he was, at the time that we were touring, he was in his like mid 40s, so I was in my 30s. And so I would just listen to him and try to like learn from him a little bit. And he backstage once said the same thing. He's like, the critics, like all the praise they give you and all the negative commentary, it's all bullshit.
Yeah.
And that's always stuck with me. And it resonated when Seinfeld said that. I was like, that's exactly, it's true from our small little careers to these mega careers. But what I find interesting is, me personally, I always am more interested and believe the negative, and I write off the positive.
Right.
It's like when people say, that was amazing, and here's what I loved about what you did, I'm always kind of like in my mind, like, I don't believe you. But when I read something negative, it's like, is that true?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a window into my personal struggles and weakness, but...
Well, it loops us back to what we were saying earlier about the difference between looking and seeing.
Yeah.
The high praise and the venom that are both lies come from those who are only looking. Mm-hmm. But those who really see, like those who really know me, like when you offer me a compliment, you know me. You've been traveling with me for 20 whatever years, and we know each other very well.
Pretty well.
And when you offer a compliment, I can receive that because I know you're not blowing smoke up my arse. You know me. You know all my crap too.
Yeah.
And when you offer me a constructive criticism, I can receive that also without being crushed by it, because I know you know me and you love me.
Right.
And that all these places we just went in the last 10 minutes, looping back, your initial question was, what's my impression been of the people here in Ecuador? And yesterday morning, I'm giving that presentation to business leaders, making this distinction between just looking at someone and really seeing the person. And I said, what would our relationships look like, from our intimate relationships of marriage, close friendship, but then expand it out to the way we run a business, you know, the way we interact with our employees and our customers. What would be different if we really saw the person? Mm. And this was the moment in the presentation where something clicked, and I knew I was making a connection with my audience. And I believe what was going on, it was like we were living what I was saying, because I think my audience saw me seeing them. Mm-hmm. And when they saw me seeing them in the very struggle as business owners to see their employees and their customers as persons, we all struggle here. We can treat one another in an instrumental, utilitarian way. And I asked the room, have you ever worked for someone who treated you like a cog in a wheel? Mm-hmm. And lots of hands went up and lots of heads were nodding. And I said, how did that make you feel? And we know it. We know it in our bones when someone is treating us like something rather than like someone. And I said, have you ever had other relationships or worked for someone else who saw you like a person and honored you as a person, and not just something, but saw you as someone? And heads were nodding. And I said, what was the difference there? And it invited an honesty in the room. And a guy came up to me afterwards. We had dinner with him last night. Arturo. And he said, just call me King Arthur.
Okay.
And I said, what, are you married to Guinevere? And he and I had a beautiful connection because I believe he saw me seeing him. And when we connect with someone in that way, there can be, even if you've never met the person, there can be an instant bond or an instant connection. Maybe bond is too strong a word, but at least a beautiful human connection that allows for an interrelationship based on much more than what can I get out of this. But I'm already receiving you as a gift, and he's receiving me as a gift. And it creates something very, very human. And that does not always happen as quickly with an audience as it did yesterday. And so back to your question, what's my impression here? There's a richness of humanity. They were sizing me up for about 10 minutes. Who is this guy? And maybe it was just the language barrier, but 10 to 12 minutes in, those walls came down and there is a beautiful human connection.
Hey, feel free to skip this ad if you want, but I just wanted to let you know that besides this podcast, we also independently have events that we do around the world. If you're interested in knowing how you can come out and see us and be part of what we're doing, the details are down below. Check it out, and we hope to see you out on the road soon. What's striking me with what you're saying is when you get to that moment of the wall is down, and you're able to see the person and be with the person, it actually becomes a burden lifted for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there's none of that subconscious battle.
Absolutely.
That you're dealing with of how to navigate the person
Right.
or the conversation, or when do I respond, or what should I say?
Right, and in that place where we're navigating that, one of the questions that is just heavy on the heart is, can I be vulnerable to this person? We all walk around this fallen world. I mean, clothing is self-protection. It's not just the weather. It's self-protection from, I live in a world where people don't really see me and don't know how truly to honor me in my humanity as it is.
Right.
Every day we put clothing on. Again, abstracting from the weather. We also put clothing on because it gets cold. But abstracting from that, every day we put clothing on, we're sending a message to ourselves that my real humanity, my naked humanity, is threatened in this world. And I have to protect myself because I live in a dangerous world. I live in a world where it does not come readily and naturally to see the person. What comes readily is to look at the person.
Yeah.
And I will look and I will evaluate based on whether you please me, and if your humanity does not please me, swipe. You're out of the picture. I've just treated this person as a thing.
Well, and some clothes, and I'm not having a conversation about, I'm not referring to modesty, but some clothes are chosen based off of how they can manipulate
Correct.
your appearance. If I have a shirt that's tight in like the belly, well, then my love handles are going to be like being front center.
Right.
So I got to have like a shirt that lays a certain way. So, because it's just out of this fear of, nobody wants to see my love handles. You know?
Well, there's a fear in that, and I can relate to it. I'm a 56-year-old man who has
little bagel.
Little extra going on.
I got an everything bagel. He's got some Mediterranean spice.
But
I'm like Tom Selleck under here.
There is a deep fear of
the
rejection.
Belly's a vulnerable place.
Of rejection. Yeah. And even as I do this, like I'm feeling my girth over my belt.
That's enough.
I was thinking, that is enough. This was not 2 months ago, where I kept catching myself doing this. Like, why am I doing this all the time? And I've learned enough through decades of spiritual direction and taking my prayer life seriously that little things like this, pay attention. Like, there's something much deeper. When I'm doing this all the time, self-conscious about what's hanging over my belt, there's some interior mystery in my heart that I got to look at. So this was not 2 months ago, where I was like, I think I really need to open this up in prayer. Like, why do I keep doing this? So I just sat there. I was like, okay, Lord, what's going on in my heart when I'm doing this? Self-conscious about weight gain and such. And I was taken to two very, very painful, and I would even say traumatic memories. And I would not have, up to this point in my life, I would not have admitted they were traumatic. And one was, I'm 10 years old. I'm sitting at the dinner table at my family home, my family dinner table. 10 years old, I'm at the stage, it's like pre-puberty, and I had put on some chunk.
Never had it, but okay. I've just always been pretty mature in
Would
my
you
development.
please empathize with my pain, Michael?
Sorry. Okay, all right.
Do you love me?
Of course I love you.
Thank you.
I'll be quiet for a bit.
I'm sitting at the dinner table. I'm 10 years old. In recent months, I put on some chunk. 10-year-old prepubescent chunk. And my brother...
You put on a little weight at that age?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And my brother just took to calling me his fat little brother. You're my fat little brother. And this night at the dinner table, 10 years old, he had thrown out the comment or something one more time, and I just burst into tears. Like, I could not pretend anymore that this didn't hurt me. That was one memory. And the other memory that came to me, again, to reframe it, to frame it again, what I'm doing here, this is just a couple months ago, I had been squeezing my gut one too many times, and I'm like, what's going on? Why do I keep doing that? And I'm taking it to prayer, and these memories come to me. That was the first. The second was, over the next couple years, I literally begged my parents to get me a membership at the gym, which I did, they did, and I started working out. And between 10 and 12, I got trim and slim. All as a self-protection from my brother calling me his fat little brother. I had a good friend named Jimmy who was going through his own chunky phase. And my brother now I'm 12, he's now 14, and a friend of his, he and his friend Mike, were at my house. And
But you had the gym membership at 12?
I got a gym membership at 10.
Holy cow.
And for 2 years, I'm working out 3 times a week.
At 10,
At
11,
10
and
and
12.
11 and 12. And I know, part of it was I was totally into the Incredible Hulk, Lou Ferrigno, that whole thing. And I
Working
wanted to...
out in green paint?
Yeah, I used to dress up like the Hulk and all.
The guys at the gym are like, stop this green paint! Who is that? You're like in the corner.
Who's getting green paint all over the elliptus machine?
Son of a...
Yeah, so I had gotten pretty trim, but my friend Jimmy was overweight, and my brother and his friend mercilessly, in my presence, mercilessly mocked my friend Jimmy. And the talk about venom like coming out. I was traumatized by witnessing that much rejection aimed at another human being. And tragically, I'm like, whoa. The paradigm set up in my very vulnerable mind at age 12 and younger, it was, none of this is conscious at the time. This is all in retrospect as an adult, bringing this to prayer. I'm realizing I have adopted a paradigm for the world that it's either you will be the one who mocks or you will be the one who is mocked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if those are the only two choices,
I'm going to mock.
I'm going to mock.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the one who gets mocked. And I don't want to be, this is the sadness, but this is the reality. I don't want to even be friends with those who get mocked.
Mm-hmm.
So within, I don't know, around that same time period, I look back at the history of my life and I realize, you know what? I was no longer friends with Jimmy. I had to distance myself from Jimmy. I realized some of this also a few years ago. I didn't realize how connected it was with his weight and my own fear of rejection here. But a couple years ago, I'm just doing an examination of my life, and I remember this phase of my life where I distanced myself from Jimmy. Mm. And, you know, with the internet these days, you can look people up, and I looked them up. And I asked him, I said, hey, we haven't talked for 35, 40 years. I don't even know how long it was, but I'd love to take you out for lunch. And we went out to lunch. This was maybe 3-4 years ago, and I asked him to forgive me for rejecting him. And I don't even know if he really understood or was in a place to receive my apology. I don't know exactly. He didn't brush it off, but he didn't like break down and say, thank you, I've been waiting for you to apologize to me for all these decades. But I needed to do it.
Well, going back to how we started talking about this, you were seeing him, and not everybody, not that we have something. The becoming one who sees is a never-ending journey.
Yes.
You don't reach the plateau of I figured it out, but it's a never-ending journey because we're constantly in new situations where the tendency is for us to react in our broken way.
Right.
But we're called to react the way God sees.
Yes.
And to see the Creator in all of creation. And that's people, seeing the humanity in people. But the sadness is that with Jimmy, it's like sometimes you don't even know that what it means for you to be seen.
That's right.
You know, and like I was a chubby kid. My mom used to say I was big boned. Which
is a euphemism.
Yeah, big bone and relaxed muscle was the other one. I had a lot of relaxed muscle, but was it last night you were telling me your nickname? Yeah.
What was
Pasta Gut?
Dude.
When I was a kid. And then you asked twice. You're like, you weren't affected by that? And
the reason that was so fresh, the reason I asked you.
Makes sense.
Because this is fresh on my heart, this stuff.
No, I was a chubby kid. And
how could you not be affected by being called Pasta Gut?
Because, I don't know, I felt very affirmed in other areas. And like, I wasn't, if I'm going to do a quick assessment of like who I was as a kid. Like,
was it a term of affection? Is that?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like
so it
mocking.
Wasn't cutting.
No.
The way it was said. So this makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
Because the same words could be used in a cutting way.
Yeah.
Or it could be used as a term of endearment.
I had a belly. I had a big belly, and like that's not subjective.
Right.
It was there.
It was there, right.
And I was very well aware of it. But I was also like, I had 2 older brothers. My mom's family had 10 kids, so there's all of these cousins. I was right in the middle, so I had the influence of the older cousins. I had the younger cousins to be an influence for. I was very comfortable with myself. But I would say, I spent right away when I got into sports, which was, I was a hockey, football, and then in high school I played lacrosse. I went all in because I wanted to be good at the sports, but I also I didn't want to be chubby.
Yeah.
So, it always was a fuel. I don't want to be like this. I want to slim down. But I also was aware, like I looked at my dad, and the Mangione body it's as wide as it is tall. I mean, we are just blocks,
Right.
you know, and that's just what it is. And so I just knew that it's okay. You know, I'm never going to be like my friend who would take his shirt off and it's like, you couldn't even pinch his stomach. Never going to be me. I'm in my healthiest. I'm always going to have these lumps back here.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm always going to have a little muffin top. And I was just comfortable because I had a good sense of humor. I was, you know, my friends thought I was funny, and a few girls thought I was cute, and that's all I needed. You know.
Well, there it is. We're always, whatever our particular context, whatever our particular social circle that we're in, we're looking for that affirmation.
Yeah.
And you found it in sports and being good at sports. You found it in
Decently good.
enough women or young girls.
Yeah.
Thought you were cute or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, in my particular story, I dated. This is unique. I dated a girl. Started dating in 8th grade, and we broke up junior year of college.
That's
So
a long time.
That's a long time.
Very formative years.
Exactly. And that was a girl that we had a very good relationship, a very healthy relationship, and she.
You had a very healthy relationship
Yeah.
as a teenager. I've never
We did.
I've never even heard of a very healthy relationship. That's not my experience.
Yeah. I mean, we were good for each other. I know she helped me avoid a lot of indulging of my tendency, like a lot of the negative sides that I'm working on as an adult for the past 20 years. She helped kind of me keep that stuff in check at a time that had I gone heavy into that direction, it would have significantly altered the trajectory of my life. And I honestly, I feel like God put her in my life to kind of keep me,
Wow.
you know, standing.
That's a gift.
Yeah, huge gift. It's so much of a gift that my wife, because then we broke up.
Why did you break up?
Well, we dated for so long. I think she wanted to try just to get to know one other guy.
Uh-huh.
But what's funny is that, you know, we broke up because she went to a different university. I went to Marquette. She went to Denison in Ohio, and she was got really into her Christian faith. She wasn't Catholic, but she was of like a non-denominational church in Glenview where I grew up. And she got really into it, and it was Campus Crusade for Christ that kind of like absorbed her in. And I think I didn't really fit that mold, and it was the direction that she wanted to go. And so she broke up with me. But what was interesting was that 2 months after that, I met this girl.
Who's now your wife?
Who's now my wife, going on a retreat. Because I was so heartbroken that I was sitting at a computer lab, and this friend of mine's like, hey, you should go on this retreat. I think it'd be good for you.
So this friend knew you were going
Yeah.
through a rough time and invited
right.
you on this retreat.
Yeah.
Isn't that fascinating how it all
Yeah.
ties together?
And then I dated this girl, and my ex-girlfriend from high school, junior high, dated this guy, and then she got married to him, and I got married to my wife.
Fascinating.
But what I was going to say is my current wife,
The only wife you've ever had.
no, my wife Stacy respects Catherine, my high school girlfriend, because she agrees with me that, you know, had I just been a single dude in high school, I probably would have been in a lot of John Hughes movies as the villain. You know, I would have been.
Yeah, my wife, Wendy, also has a great respect for my high school college girlfriend. We dated for 4 years, last 2 of high school, first 2 of college.
That was one of the first things we related to each other on when we met.
Oh, when we met.
Is that we both had these long.
Had I told that story during my talk or
Yeah.
something?
Well, yeah, I think, or in our
was it
conversations.
in our conversations, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, and Wendy said to me, my wife of 30 years, she said to me, within the last couple years, it really struck me. She said, you know, I'm really grateful to Janine. Janine was my girlfriend, and I said, I never heard you quite say it that way. What do you? She said, well, I'm really grateful that she broke up with you, because that decision altered my life. And I was like, of course it altered your life.
Yeah.
Of course it altered your, I mean, totally altered Wendy Teresa Weidman's life, who was living in Washington, D.C. area in the summer of 1990, when I, in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, was dealing with the heartbreak of my 4-year girlfriend ending our relationship.
Yeah.
This altered dramatically, profoundly
Her life and history.
history.
History. Think of your
History,
children.
I know. I have 5 children, I have 4
Who have
grandchildren.
children.
Right. And what that's going to do,
It's
utterly mind-boggling.
It is so mind-boggling when the first time I had that like, because you can think, yeah, like that our decisions affect history, blah blah.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, it really smacks
Yeah.
you in the face. And it was the day after my wedding. I was in my wife and I were visiting my parents because everybody stayed at hotels, and my mom told me a story about my grandfather who served. My grandfather Charles Molinick served in the 6th Armored Division, Patton's Army in World War II. It's a tank division. And he was a surgeon. And there was another doctor there who while in Germany, had fallen in love with a girl, I think in France, and decided not to go home to his family. He had a family in the United States, fallen in love with a woman in the war.
Wow.
And ended up, my grandfather had a practice that was waiting for him in Eureka, Illinois. And this other gentleman who had fallen in love had a practice in Glenview, Illinois. I think it was it was in Florida. I'm sorry, start over. The gentleman had a practice in Eureka. My grandfather had this other practice, and they switched. They switched the practices waiting. Like they were starting these new developed. This is like the plan.
Yeah.
And because of this new relationship, he switched, and my grandfather ended up going to Eureka, and this other guy ended up going to the one my grandfather was going to go to. And I remember when my mom told me that, I was so disgusted by this gentleman who left his family.
Yeah.
And like, what heartbreak, what
Yeah.
destruction, your family's like in pain over you being away in the war, and then you fall in love. Like, that's a horrible, horrible story. However, my mom was born in Eureka. Like my mom was conceived at this place that my grandfather went to, that took this other gentleman's gig.
Crazy.
Had that not happened, all the conditions would have been different. The night that she was conceived, my mom being born, like that, just all these little details, like alter.
Yeah.
And you talk about in the events with like the impact of every single one of us. Like, you are not insignificant.
No.
Nobody is insignificant. Everybody plays a crucial role in in the human narrative on this planet.
Yeah. And when you realize the weight of that, like, you are realizing the weight of your decisions, and that can almost be crippling.
Yeah.
But for the fact that there is a master weaver who's taking all of this and weaving something beautiful out of it, even out of our sin.
Mm-hmm.
Case in point.
Yeah.
Right? And I've always been struck, since I've known this little detail. I don't remember who was the first to point it out to me. It was many, many years ago. Somebody pointed out to me, when the genealogy of Jesus comes up in the Gospels, somebody said, "Have you ever looked up any of those characters?" I was like, "No." Well, look them up. Like, there's some really dark stuff in Jesus's family tree. There's prostitution, there's fornication, there's adultery. All this stuff is in Jesus's family tree. And the point of it is that the Son of God enters right into the mess of our humanity, not to scold us, but to redeem us, to weave something beautiful out of even our sin. Now, St. Paul addresses this one. Well, does that mean we should just keep sinning because we can trust that God's going to be weaving great things out of it? St. Paul says, those who think that way, their condemnation is deserved. But knowing, looking back at our lives, that we do sin, and even looking forward knowing that we will sin, we can trust there's a master weaver here. Again, that doesn't mean we sin. We do evil because God can bring good out of it. Our condemnation is deserved if we think that. But in our broken humanity, we can trust. And I can look back, speaking of sin and tragedy and how it wounds, but how God brings good out of it. I can look back at what I've only recently come to terms with was really traumatic. Like that experience I shared earlier of witnessing my brother and his friend mock the S-H-I-T out of my friend Jimmy. That was a traumatic experience for me. And it caused me to, in many ways, withdraw from the world. And I remember right around the same time in my life, I found in a desk drawer in our house a key that fit my bedroom door. And I remember feeling elated when I stuck the key in and realized it fit and I clicked it. Like I can still feel the click of that lock because I realized I can be safe. Like the world outside my bedroom door seemed traumatic to me and in many ways was. And my brother was always stealing stuff from my room, stealing my money, breaking my toys, messing with my trinkets on my desk, stealing my Stridex pads that I used when I had acne, leaving the cap open and they dry out.
Yeah.
I mean, I just felt
Just
violated.
violated, yes.
I felt violated. And I remember that feeling, click,
Click.
and like safety.
Yeah,
I can protect myself and I can protect my stuff.
yeah.
But at the same time, I felt that
Freedom.
safety,
Yeah.
and there was a certain freedom there from
Well, I was going to say it's
being
it's the
violated.
opposite of freedom. You're now
But now I'm
now you're
enclosed.
enclosed.
Now I'm enslaved.
Yeah.
Now I'm
Oh, dude.
the worst word in the world. I'm alone.
Yeah.
I am frickin' alone. And I don't have any vocabulary when I'm 10, 11, 12 to talk about any of this or put any of it in words. But here's how I'd put it in words now. I am made as a human being for communion.
Communion. Yeah. That's right.
And the proper context in which to experience communion is the family. Right? But because we live in a fallen world, and I'm fallen, and my parents are fallen, and my brother's fallen, the communion I long for was not there. There were attempts at it, but I didn't, in the place of the communion I desired with my brother, the love I desired from my brother, I got the trauma of being continually rejected and belittled. That's why it felt safe when I locked that door. But also,
Yeah.
I'm totally alone. The only way, this was what my mind is going through at age 12, even though I don't have the words for it. The only way I can feel safe is to be utterly alone. And I'm talking here that the reason I brought this story in is because there's good that has come out of this.
I was going to say sometimes it's a process.
Yeah, well,
where it's required to lock
Yes.
yourself in the room
Right.
first.
Right. And the process here, I'm describing a process that has taken decades. And it was within the last, I was on a call doing a podcast with Dr. Jerry Crete and Dr. Peter Malinowski. I hope I'm saying his name correctly. They're two Catholic therapists who run this podcast. And Jerry Crete has come to a couple courses at the Institute. He's a good man. I've read his book. I really like what he's doing. They asked me to be on this podcast. And about, 35, 40 minutes into the conversation, they asked me, would I be willing to do a little demonstration of a therapy session? And they said, They said, don't worry, if it goes too deep, we'll edit it out of the final cut. Well, we went deep very quickly, and I had to just accept, okay, they're going to edit this out, which they did. But I was brought back to this memory of the locked door and the trauma I felt, the conflict I felt in I'm safe, but I'm totally alone. Mm-hmm. And I'm in this therapy session on a podcast, thank God that got edited out. I'm brought to this feeling, this emotion in my body of the strangeness of those two things, safety and I'm totally alone. And all of a sudden, almost like a scene from the upper room, Jesus is not bound by locked doors. He just shows up in my room. And my room is like a sacrament of my interior heart, my interior world, my inmost self, as Dr. Jerry Crete would say. So Jesus shows up in this place where I feel totally alone. And he says, I'm with you in your aloneness. And you know how songs come to me, like the catalog of songs I grew up with can become very meaningful to me in my prayer life.
Little soundtracks.
Yeah, the little soundtracks of my life. And the song that showed up was Message in a Bottle by the Police. And the one line that just like, seems I'm not alone at being alone. Like I'm not alone at being alone. Like this is the cry of all humanity in our alienation, in our longing for communion, but getting rejection. We withdraw into our own inner rooms. But what does Jesus say about prayer? He says, when you pray, go in your inner room and lock the door.
It's that inner room with Jesus is the necessity, requirement of every authentic Christian life.
Exactly. And this is the good that has come out of that horror, of that trauma of isolation. These lyrics, let me look them up. These lyrics for Message in a Bottle are amazing.
Yeah, because as you're speaking, I'm just thinking of like at my worst times. Throughout my history, these horrible periods of real struggle. The two choices that I face is either to, in one way, go off and anesthetize or numb the pain with either an outward expression that's not loving towards somebody by being mean, or my kids, or my wife, or a friend, or my parents, or with a substance to ignore, alcohol or whatever. Because,
or binging on Netflix.
But Netflix, all of that stuff just to take the endorphin rush from somewhere else that just skips over that empty hole.
Yep.
The other direction is to get down in that foxhole and call God to dwell with you there and find yourself in that place with the Lord and be okay and be at peace there.
This is what this song is.
Yeah.
Listen to these freaking lyrics.
All right.
Listen to this.
Do you want me to do the music?
Listen to this. Just a castaway, an island lost at sea, oh. Another lonely day, no one here but me, oh. More loneliness than any man could bear. Rescue me before I fall into despair, oh. Do you hear the cry? More loneliness than any man could bear. That's that place of alienation. I've been so wounded by being rejected, I withdraw into myself only to find myself, in the name of protecting myself from pain, in all the more pain, because this is more loneliness than any man could bear. Rescue me before I fall into despair. Well, who's he crying out to?
Yeah.
Who's going to rescue him? Right? I mean, this is, I don't know Sting's particular religious beliefs. I know he was raised Catholic and then had his falling out.
Catholic, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He had his falling out with the church. And
But he decides to send an SOS.
yeah,
Into the
sending
world.
out an SOS.
Yeah.
Right, my ship is sinking, sending out an SOS. I'll send an SOS to the world. I'll send an SOS to the world. I hope that someone gets my message in a bottle, right? So this is the cry of the human heart in that desperate place of I'm effing alone. I am alone, and I don't want to be alone. And it's this, is there anybody out there who hears this cry? That is prayer. I don't care what Sting would call it. It's prayer.
It's prayer.
It's a prayer.
But Christopher, the thing that keeps popping up for me in my head is, but that self-realization and acceptance is the necessary step, because most people don't even get to that point.
It's so honest.
Yeah.
It's so rawly. Is that a word, rawly?
Sure. It's also a place.
So it's humanity in the raw.
But most people, anytime I'm referring to people, I'm referring to myself at times.
Yeah.
Sometimes don't even allow ourselves to get to that point of self-realization.
Yeah. Because we wear so many masks.
And masks sometimes to me seems like, oh, I'm intentionally putting on a mask. It's not even.
It's not a conscious thing.
It's not even. I use the word anesthetized. We're so anesthetized sometimes that you need to take the endorphin rush from your phone, from substance, from bad relationships. Take those things out of your life and allow your raw nerve endings to feel aloneness.
Yes.
Because it's only in that place that you're actually alone and you feel it throbbing that you can finally get a salve that's going to meet those nerve endings.
Well said.
Otherwise, you're always just running to the next thing.
That's right.
And we all have that Copax Dei or the God hole.
Copax Dei. The capacity for God.
That God hole.
Yeah.
And we're just shoving the Big Macs and stuff into it. But until we allow it to be empty, and it's going to throb and it's going to hurt. But it's only at that point of like complete nerve endings yearning will we find something that can meet the need. And that's God.
Yeah. And here it's a particular challenge to be this naked, as naked and raw as this song is. It's a particular challenge for religious people.
Yeah.
Because religious people, and I count myself as one who has hidden behind this, religious people love to wear a lot of masks. Mm-hmm. And the mask we typically put on is piety. Prayer has to be typical religious broadcasting. When there's a prayer, they want to use a formal English, British accent, in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Pardon me. But the reason that makes me want to gag is because there's the way I receive that. I don't know that everybody does, and I hope there are people who don't. But I just hear that and feel that as like a wax layer over my real humanity, a pious mask that does not help me get in touch with what I'm really feeling. A song from the Police, from Sting, that is raw and naked is a far more honest prayer to me than in the name of the Father and the Son, right? Well, let me just quote the Catechism. The Catechism says, prayer is where we let our masks fall so as to present ourselves as we really are to God.
Yeah.
As an offering to be transformed. That's the song. Listen to these lyrics. It keeps going. Like, there are no masks here. This is authentic, raw humanity. A year has passed since I wrote my note. I should have known this right from the start. Only hope can keep me together. Love can mend your life, but love can break your heart. I'll send an SOS to the world. I hope that someone gets my message in the bottle. What I love about this verse, only hope can keep me together. There's a sense of fracturing in this world. And what is hope? I'll define it as the Catechism defines hope. Hope is setting my desire on heaven as my ultimate happiness. And what is heaven? Heaven is where we're all loved, naked without shame. There are no more barriers. There's no more protection. There's no more fear that my naked humanity is going to be rejected, because it's not. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be rejected. I'm going to be received as I am. I'm going to be received for who I am. And all of my scars and all of my wounds and all of my sins will be redeemed. And even my sins, this is how powerful Almighty God is. He can take all of my SHIT and have it shine with glory. And how do we know this? Because it was our sin that wounded Christ, the crown of thorns, the nails, the lance in his side. And these wounds in his resurrected body are now shining with glory. Hope only hope can bring me together, right? Only hope can pull me out of this loneliness that no man can bear. And then this line, love can mend your life. Yes, amen, it can. But notice the note of realism about this fallen world. If you make yourself vulnerable to love, love can mend your life, but love can break your heart. C.S. Lewis says, if you want to protect your heart and never have it be broken or hurt, just lock it up. Lock it up. It won't break, but something even worse will happen. He says, you'll become unbreakable. You'll become unredeemable.
Yeah.
Because just like that, me in my bedroom locking that door, you become enclosed.
Well, that's the process of becoming one who sees.
Exactly.
Is that you becoming one who sees doesn't just relate to how you see the humanity in an individual. It's also how you see the Creator in the story of your life, and how you see that. I mean, you're either going to be locked up in the room, or you're going to find freedom through not letting the reality of solitude lock you.
Correct. Correct.
Like the solitude, through solitude and authentic relationship with Christ is the way in which you are going to be the source of your hope that gets you through.
Exactly.
And it's worth the sacrifice of your heart at times. It's worth the sacrifice of yourself.
And what's the worst punishment in prison?
Solitary.
Solitary confinement.
There's some other ones.
There's some other,
Okay.
But it's
but we don't need to go there. Okay.
But why is that so brutal to be placed in solitary confinement? Because we are made for communion. Mm-hmm. We are made not to be alone. But there's also a profound paradox here, that in order to discover communion with humanity,
you need to have communion with Christ.
But you first have to be alone.
Right. I was going to say through your solitude.
Through your solitude.
Right.
Exactly.
It's the paradox.
This is crazy paradox. You have to realize, Sting says it best. I don't know if he says it best, but he says it pretty darn good here. Listen to this. Walked out this morning, don't believe what I saw. 100 billion bottles washed up on the shore. Seems I'm not alone at being alone. 100 billion castaways looking for a home.
Yeah.
There it is. There's the communion that we have paradoxically is in realizing everybody feels this. I'm not alone at being alone. And guess what? Now I'm no longer alone. Because I'm not alone at being alone. Because you feel the same thing in your humanity. And Juan, you feel the same thing in your humanity. And then there's communion. Mm-hmm. There's communion in the very feeling of feeling alone.
So it's through that isolation and I'm trying to get the right words. All right. So there's this isolation, solitude, this openness to be alone, be in touch with your real desires. Because if you're not aware that you have them, you're going to subconsciously fulfill them in ways that are never going to fulfill them. So you become aware with them so you can engage the one who fully satisfies it. And it's only in that relationship of solitude with the Father that you can then fully give yourself with another person and have communion. So in order to really truly have communion with another, you need to have holy isolation and communion with the Lord by yourself.
And here we are, right at some of the most fundamental principles of John Paul's Theology of the Body, where he reflects on what he calls original solitude, which leads to
historical,
which leads to original unity.
Unity, right, of course.
Original solitude.
I'm gonna edit that one.
You're almost there, Mike. You're almost there.
Just don't ask me questions.
Original solitude it's not good for the man to be alone. But that aloneness is not just the male without the female. It's interesting here, the word for man, it's not good for the man, is the generic for human being. Mm-hmm. It's not just the male.
Right.
It's not good for the human being to be alone. And the aloneness here is not just male without female or female without male, but it's the recognition I'm different from the rest of creation. Squirrels don't look up at the stars and wonder what's out there. Squirrels don't write music or poetry. Squirrels don't record podcasts reflecting on what does it mean to be a squirrel. What's the point? This desperate cry, I don't want to be alone, that does not well up, certainly not in the same way in a dog or a cat, right? I mean, there are pack animals, and certainly you can recognize that your dog or your cat might want to be in your presence, but a lot of that is instinctual.
I think theirs is more of like, we're like, I don't want to be alone. Theirs is more like, I'm alone, I'm alone, I'm alone. I mean, they just recognize they're alone and then try to, but.
The aloneness that we feel is something existential, like it goes deep.
Yeah.
And we are made for love, we are made for communion, and we have to be willing, like the song cries out, to send out that SOS. You know, like an SOS is the cry for help. It's not good for the man to be alone. I will make a help for him, a helpmate. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking of John Lennon. Help! I need somebody, help! Mm-hmm. Not just anybody. That's sending out an SOS. Sending out an SOS.
So that desire that we have for unity and for communion, because we're aware of our aloneness, or solitude, in the song is being recognized, Sting's recognizing that as seeing in the metaphor of the bottles, all these different bottles as recognition that other people,
correct,
and that is how you become one who sees.
Yes.
The humanity of another individual comes through the recognition that they are sending out an SOS.
Yes.
They are
exactly.
Yeah.
Sting is saying, I've seen 100 billion bottles washed up on the shore.
Yeah.
Well, 100 billion, there's only 8 billion people on the planet, and when Sting wrote the song in the 70s or 80s, there's probably only 4 or 5 billion people on the planet. But it's fascinating, that number 100 billion, it's like all-encompassing of the entire human race throughout all of history. He's saying this is our humanity. We are all sending out this SOS.
Because one of the things I was going to say, I was going to bring up, but wasn't able to, was, we talk about coming to become one who sees, like, yeah, but how? Like, how do you do it? And, and I made the comment that it's not something that you achieve, and it's the way of seeing. It's not you see, it's the way of. It's always becoming, it's always adapting to the environment and to your current position in life and where you're at. But for me, not that I have the answer, but the one thing that I've found super helpful is precisely seeing that. Seeing, the word that I use for it now in my prayer is seeing the child in the person. Like, we're called to be childlike, and there's something so beautiful in the child, and rarely do I ever look at a child and be like, I can't stand that guy. Like, I'm always empathetic to the child's needs and the way they act, but I want to see the child in everybody.
Yeah.
I want to see that little girl or that little boy, and because that's the essence of just their innocence.
Yes.
And before the calloused adulthood of this mask and this persona, there's that little boy behind the big dude that just fought somebody in the bar, for bumping over his drink. Yeah. There's a little, like, sad, isolated, chubby boy.
Yeah. Well, it takes me right back to my 10-year-old memory when my brother's, fat little brother. I need to let Jesus into that memory and ask him, as my older brother, how do you see me? Unless I become like that little child, I will not enter the kingdom. Unless I can let Jesus into those places that were traumatized by rejection, and open that rejection to him and be received right there. Like, if I don't do that interior work now, I'm going to have a lot of shitski to deal with in purgatory. This is the stuff that needs to get cleared out and healed in us before we can enter into that beatific vision and love and be loved as we're see and be seen and be known and know as we're called to. And that journey can happen now, and our eyes and our ears begin to get opened up. Like, here's a case in point. Like, how many hundreds of times have I heard that song, Message in a Bottle, since it first came out in my childhood? And it took me all these decades to actually hear the song. Actually, maybe the word is listen.
Yeah.
To listen. I've heard it, but I never really listened. It's like looking and seeing, hearing and listening. I think we can draw a parallel. I heard that song hundreds of times. Only recently did I listen. And that makes all the difference. And it's not something we can manufacture. Like,
well, steak is better when you're hungry. You need to have that appetite.
That's right.
And if you're not in if
you're not in that zone,
that place of life where the appetite is real.
Good analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in the right place to receive that grace, to hear that song, to listen to it for the first time, and let it have its impact. And those who don't hear in that song what I hear in that song will be sure to write me off as making too much out of a stupid pop song.
But find that in your song. The point is that it's not God is only speaking through Sting's song Message in the Bottle.
Right.
It's God is the Creator is speaking through creation, and if you understand that, look for it. You will find it.
And where
it's
does
in
that?
Everything.
When Sting wrote that song, where did it come from? Right. It came from his honesty in looking at what's really going on in there and pressing it out.
Yeah.
And that's the gift of a genuine artist. He's going to be honest about what he feels, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and he's going to get it out.
Yeah.
And when we make that connection, we're no longer alone. I felt so much less alone really listening for the first time to that song.
Mm-hmm. It's a good song.
It's a good song.
Good drummer.
Superb drummer.
Stuart Copeland.
There's nobody like him.
He was the lone, he was the alien in the band.
You are the only American.
Yeah. Yeah. And Sting,
Jamaican in New York. No, an
What's-
Englishman.
that's what I was referring to, yeah. He was an illegal alien. Yeah, I have this line that keeps popping up in my head from Brian Eno, the producer, from the movie Here Is What Is. It's a Daniel Lanois documentary.
Tell people who Daniel Lanois and Brian Eno are.
Daniel Lanois and Brian Eno are musicians and producers. Eno kind of rose in his professional career through the work of like David Bowie and a lot of stuff he was doing in New York, ambient sound stuff. Lanois rose out of Canada in the Toronto area. He was, and they worked together on, I think I can't remember the first artist they worked together with, but they really—
Talking Heads? Was it Talking Heads?
It might have, something like that. Dang it, I wish.
Peter Gabriel?
Well, Peter Gabriel came after.
Okay.
But they did, but anyway. But
they worked with U2.
U2 was the,
Yeah.
that was kind of like the rocket ship.
Yeah.
But so Lanois is one of my favorite musicians. As a musician, like producing I love his production. It's like audible incense. It's very ethereal, and it's like, there's things that like you don't even know are happening, and then all of a sudden they isolate a track, and it's like, oh, that's a microphone in a room with the amp cranked to
11?
10 to 11, and we're using a feather to play the strings, and then we crunch it down and put it in the corner. It's just like a little sound over here, but it really it opens
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
You're like, what are you?
Strokes of the paintbrush.
It's the tiniest things. It's like the little, every once in a while, a Van Gogh. Van Gogh, it's like that's a yellow painting, a lot of yellow, and then you get close and there's like green, there's like blue
Yep.
in it. You're like, what the?
Yeah.
But Lanois was doing a documentary was being made about Daniel Lanois' record while they were making it, and he was interviewing Eno in it, and he was asking him about beauty, to say something on beauty. And he says, and I'm going to paraphrase, but Brian Eno says a lot of people feel like Beethoven had written his parts out in his head, and all these greats have these parts written out there in their head. But he says it's simply not true. He says beauty comes out of nothing. Beauty comes out of shit. So you can live a life where you think, I'm not Beethoven and I'm not Mozart, therefore I'm not capable of these things because I don't have them written in my head. And that would lead you down a different kind of life. Or you can realize that something comes out of nothing and I'm a nothing, therefore I'm capable. And it's just this beautiful, like in all of these experiences and all of these moments of desolation and in sorrow and in joy and these encounters with people, I was talking about early in the podcast, like when I don't know their name, like all of these are opportunities to find beauty out of nothing. Because you have two options. You can go in one direction where you don't think anything's possible in anything, and there's no hope, and there's no chance of communion with anybody, and that would lead you down one path. Or you could go in another direction of I am nothing, and something beautiful can come out of it.
Which without a doubt reveals in us the image of God.
100%.
Because God ultimately is the only one who can bring something out of nothing.
Out of nothing. Right.
But he gives us, in as much as a creature can share in that, he gives us the ability to share in that, to participate in his own creativity.
Mm-hmm. As co-creators.
As co-creators. And to loop that back to theology of the body, hello, male and female, he created them and he blessed them and said, become a co-creator with me. Be fruitful, multiply. And I mean, countless philosophers, theologians have made these points as well, that eros, that yearning.
Spanish for rice, right? Eros. I say rice in Spanish. Eros. Sorry, eros. Yes.
E-R-O-S. Some call it eros.
Eros.
But I prefer eros.
Eros.
That creative energy, look what we even call it, creative energy, energy to create, is not just the source of creation of new human life. It's the source of all good art. Is that sacred, erotic longing to be a co-creator.
Yeah. And every person is called to be the artist of their own humanity, because every decision and everything you do and say and the way you act in every situation is like a brushstroke of the masterpiece of your humanity.
Yeah.
So we're all called to that co-creation. Because I initially, when I started comprehending that stuff specifically through God is Beauty, one of the books that we did, you know, it's easy to, it was very easy for me to comprehend, oh, wow, like there's the creator and I'm co-creating with his materials. Therefore, I have a responsibility to not look at it as what am I creating and make it like a little, an idol. You know, this is my material, it starts and stops here, but look at it as an opportunity to everything that's created to be an icon, a sign of God, pointing to God, and like humble myself. It has nothing to do with me then. It has everything to do. I'm in his house. I'm using his. I'm sitting on his furniture and I'm
That's
eating
right.
I'm using all of his material.
Yeah, you're using all of his raw material.
So Lord, help me maintain your face in everything I create. And I'm hands off. It takes the pressure off for one. But then I had I took a step back and realized that's true for our lives. That's how our lives are.
Yeah.
Like in everything we do. That's how you become one who sees. And that's why it's the way of, because it's a constant fiat of I am going into this created world knowing that I am co-creating with the Creator in everything that I do. And let me just be at the tip of your quill.
There's a term for this in the Christian East, the theology of the Christian East. They speak of the coming together of the divine energies and the energies that God has bestowed upon us, creating us in his image. So they're, let's call them the human energies and the divine energies. And when, exactly what you're saying, when you open your human energies, which are already a gift to you from the Creator,
yeah.
When you open your human energies to the divine energy, the coming together, the communion, the co-creative power of God's energy and my energy in the Eastern Church is called synergy. Synergy happens when the divine and the human energy.
That's what synergy is?
That's what synergy is.
So it's not just like a business word of
No.
promote synergy?
No. Synergy in Christian theology, this is the church, the Christian East. Synergy is the communion of God's creative power with our creative power. Every time you've written a song, when you've opened yourself to the Spirit, that's synergy.
That's synergy. Wow. Well, that's something to shoot for.
Yeah. Something to live. Something to proclaim.
Absolutely.
And if you want to live synergistically, what?
I don't know.
I was going to recommend the book that you mentioned.
God is Beauty.
God is Beauty. God is Beauty is a retreat that we publish at the Theology of the Body Institute.
It's a great book.
From John Paul II. He delivered it to artists in the early 60s, long before he became
62.
Pope. 62, during Lent. And
Holy Week.
Holy Week of Lent. And he takes artists through a reflection on Holy Week that invites this synergy. The version of the book that we've published, it's the only, to my knowledge, the only publication in the English language of this retreat. The first third is the retreat from John Paul II. The second third is a commentary from yours truly. And the third are several essays from others, including An excellent essay from
Yeah.
you, Mike.
I loved it. It was awesome.
Yeah, we'll have the link in the
Yeah,
description
check out
below.
that book, but totally relative to anybody. That's what, when I was mentioning like the masterpiece of your humanity, it's like,
Yes, whether you're an artist or not
it's-
is what you're getting at
it's
here.
totally relates to anybody. And actually, I'm going to take a left turn here because I think we're pretty good. But I want to mention that I think I'd love to invite people to send in art.
Excellent.
So one of the things I want to do is, for anybody listening who's an artist or has produced something and they want to share it with us, I want to encourage you to do so. I'd love to just receive songs, images, any kind of art that you've produced and you want to share it with us. Share it.
Yeah,
And
this is something we want to do on this podcast. We want to receive art where you have been in this place of synergy. Send that art our way, either through
Well, it can-
MP3 file, a
Yeah.
link, an image, however you want to get it to us. Get it. If you want to send us a hard copy, we'll put an address you can send it to in the notes here.
Yeah.
We'll
We'll have an email. We'll have an email in the notes so you can send
Great.
it there. Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
we want to receive it and we want to talk about it here on our show.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So I encourage you to do that. But I think we got to do an event.
for artists.
No, we have to do an event tonight.
Oh,
Like in an hour.
yeah, we do.
So we should go do that.
But we should do an event for artists too. We've been talking about that for a long time, like a retreat for artists.
Well, that's for 100%. Yeah. We
Yeah.
should do that.
One day we'll do that, but we do got to sign off now because we're headed to a live event here in Ecuador. Thanks
right.
everybody for tuning in.
Yeah, man.
Great chatting with you, Mike.
You too.
Thanks,
Hey,
Juan.
Thanks. Nice meeting you. Don't touch me. Don't touch me, dang it. My pouch.
Grab your love handles. You grabbed mine earlier.
I did.
Dang it.
I did, sorry.
Tit for tat.
It's my muffin. Boop, boop, boop.